Hello and welcome to Inside Salem. I'm your host, Mike Allen. On this show, we try to go behind the scenes of the headlines and point out some of the different things, that's going on. And to help make it that we can do that, we put together a panel of people who are in the know. We have Teasie Riley-Goggin, political analyst. Dominguez, former counselor at large.
Thank you, Mike.
And Tom Furey, former school committee member, former counselor at large, and current planning board member.
Thank you.
Welcome all.
Thank you.
Some of the topics we'll be talking about, we'll be talking about the relocation of Pioneer Village to Camp Nubkeg. The Salem Skipper gets a bit of a lease on, an extended lease on life, but some of the information they told me about, I'm not sure that's that great. And we have 3 finalists for the superintendent's job. Going to be some controversy there because the Salem High School principal was not on the final list, and there is a suit against the city regarding the way the ballot question was handled. So those are some of the topics we're talking about. Before we do that, though, I'm going to come over here to Tom because we have time for a little bit of a planning board update, if we could.
A lot of exciting things happening in Salem. Tomorrow night is the last meeting. Tomorrow night I go to a meeting, and there's another meeting in June. So August, there's no meetings.
Right, another meeting in July, right?
Yeah, in July. So we're meeting on the final, we're dotting the I's, crossing the T's on the Salem State College complex, the South Campus, the old Bates dorms, by Avalon Company and by Wynn Company. It's about 450 units, an amazing complex of apartments.
And just to bring in what there. First of all, South Campus was St. Cridian's years ago, and it was South Campus for a while for Salem State University. At the time, it started as Salem State College. It was their School of Business for a while, and now it's going to be converted to the property is going to have apartments on it.
I put a big plug in at the last meeting about having veterans who have served our country live there. It'd be a beautiful village. You've got the right across the street. You got the YMCA, beautiful YMCA. You got Salem State University, which you could go to for entertainment, for courses. You've got a beautiful walking path nearby. The woods nearby. So
isn't that's very near? What do they call it? Salem
Woods.
Not Salem Woods,
but the other thing is, remember, if Jim Fleming was
here, they call that
Foster River Coastal.
I forget. Okay. Anyway. And so this is going to. Are they going to be using the existing buildings and retrofitting them?
Yes, exactly. That's a good word to retrofit. So the old St. Cridian's has a chapel in it, and an academic building, and the Harrington building, which was classrooms for the girls going to school. They're going to school at St. Cridian's, an all-girls school back in the 50s and 60s, to become a nun. Yeah. So it was really an amazing campus. I've had classes there when Salem State College took over. I've had classes there. So it's a very challenging campus. You've got some beautiful facility with Salem Woods and conservation area and so on nearby. But they're going to retrofit a lot of those buildings. Then on the other side, where the Bates dorms were for Salem State University college students, juniors and seniors, they're tearing down that whole complex and making brand new parking and garage and stuff like that. And they'll have walkways into the woods and things like that. So that's going to be a premier. I remember going about 8 years ago when I was on the city council, maybe Domingo went to neighborhood meetings and so on. I sat next to Neil Harrington, lo and behold, the former mayor, Neil J. Harrington. He lived in that area at the time. And we went to neighborhood meeting after neighborhood meeting 8 years ago. So it's been a long process. And I think we're at the finishing stages of dotting the I's, crossing the T's. Avalon, a big national company. Wynn, a big national company. Wynn is doing the courthouses now as we speak. Wynn developers, a big developer. So I'm excited by that. It's sometimes everything is kind of slow. The Marriott Hotel on Canal Street is going slow. No progress there on Marriott. The Marriott Hotel. There's going to be progress this year sometime on right across the street from the old Salem Laundry on Derby Street and Derby Street near the fire station. That's going to be the gateway project with
the corner building that's now 1 story, or it's going to be made 5 stories or something?
5 stories. There's a culvert there. It's a very controversial culvert.
But the only thing is that they're moving the people from Congress Street to that busy corner.
Yes. They're going to close that facility.
I
on
know
the
they
street,
are.
Shetland Park. It's an old facility, outdated, and they really need a retrofitted new facility, 21st century medical
And they're going to
center.
put senior complex in there.
And right near Burger King, right behind Wendy's, pardon, right behind Wendy's.
Oh, they wanted to buy Wendy's, but Wendy's wouldn't sell.
Exactly. So there's going to be a complex behind it, walkways and parking and stuff like that to the ocean.
Well, let's go back to what before we leave it. But the complex up there that was Salem State. If Jim Fleming, he really and truly laid out a beautiful plan with the idea that he said it should be changed over for the veterans. It would have been ideal to make that a living space for the veterans.
That's why I put a plug in for it. I did. I listened to Jim.
That's basically the feel of most people in Salem, where they understand that the veteran need to have a place. They haven't been built some places long time ago. It's my understanding that the last one they did was meaning to be was the Rainbow Terrace, which is already been changed for regular people to live there, and there's nothing for the veterans in Salem. And I think that when we see what big sacrifice the veteran actually do to make us live free, they deserve to have a place. I think that's the best thing can happen in Salem. So I'm 100%. At that time, I remember when I was at City Council, we had so many meetings, and that was the sentiment of so many people. Let's have a veteran place. Let's make sure that we really recognize the valuable sacrifice that they do to put the life on the line, so we can at least provide with some type of dignity with good living.
I got a nice answer when I asked that question to the director, the planner of Avalon. And Avalon's a big company, big nationwide company. And I said to Avalon, what's the possibility? Oh, we have a track record for veterans. We really like veterans in a project like at the St. Credians because it's a win-win situation for them.
But there's no set aside or anything. There's nothing official.
No, nothing official.
So in other words, they're saying we would welcome them, but there's nothing of any reaching out to them.
And as you mentioned, Rainbow Terrace turned out to be a veterans project after World War II, but now it's no longer a veterans project. So that'd be a nicely project for them, with dignity and respect they deserve, housing like that. So I'm very excited. I'm hopeful.
Really agree.
Oh, well, they're not going to go back on Rainbow Terrace and make it veterans again, right?
Oh, no.
No, wouldn't.
No way.
Okay,
No
yeah.
way.
Okay, so it's just that ship has sailed. So those two projects, update on the Crescent lot, and again, the Crescent lot is the small lot next to the MBTA parking garage, and it's in conjunction with the two state buildings on the corner of Federal Street and Washington Street. And what's happening with
the
that?
overpass that was built back in the 1950s, the overpass that 114 goes into downtown Salem, that's going to be a real test, and that's why they're taking a slow process. You see the excavation, the development now taking place there at the Crescent lot as we speak, when you go past on the overpass. But that overpass was built in the 50s, so they have to do testing, see whether the new development there in the Crescent lot of, say, 100 units, 200 units, they will be there, and the courthouses will be redeveloped across the way. That's a lot of pressure on that old-fashioned overpass. So,
But the other thing is, that's also a floodplain.
yes, it is.
Okay.
Big time.
Yes,
And there's only one exit coming out of there.
yes,
And it floods right outside the entrance to that.
yes.
And the other thing is when they put in that MBA garage down there, it cost them extra millions and millions and millions of dollars to go down before they hit pay dirt.
That's
That
all
was a
landfill
very
along there.
expensive
You're right.
place.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I talked ad nauseum about the MBTA garage and the cost of it.
Yeah.
Also the design, because it could have been designed at no extra cost. It should have looked like the Beverly garage, which was built at the same time. It would have fit the character of this community a lot better than the one they built. But nonetheless, it's what it is. But it cost twice as much to build that as at the same time they were building one on Salem State University campus, and that cost half the money. And it's hard for me to believe that it cost an extra $18 million because it's on landfill. I mean, it was just a boondoggle of a project, I think. But anyways, okay, so Crescent lot. Anything new on Shetland?
Now Shannon, no, it's dead center. I think it's dead in the. I hope it's dead in the water. Sincerely, dead in the water.
Okay.
It's going to change that neighborhood, change the city of Salem, and we need commercial development. We don't need high-rise apartments.
Correct.
condominiums.
Yeah.
That would really change that whole neighborhood.
It'd be one thing if the property was, empty,
Yes,
but it's pretty much full.
it's full. But a lot of the nonprofits that were there before this new developer came in from New York with the big ideas and plans and billion-dollar development, a lot of the nonprofits have moved out because they can't afford the rents.
Oh, okay. So the new guy came in and raised the rents quite a bit.
Rents. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the thing is this, he may have done that because he paid a high price for it, where Latham?
Lappin, yep.
Lapham. He owned the property, and, he might have treated these people a little favorable. We don't know if that was the case. Or he might have done it, because of the long view. They might have done it because of the long view and looking and saying, we want everyone to move out, and if everyone moves out, then I can justify converting this to residential. So we don't know the motivations of that, and that, so we'll see what happens. But the thing is
But the big thing is, they also want to build a 13-story hotel down there.
Yeah.
I mean, does Salem really need another hotel?
Right on the waterfront, on a floodplain, landfill, floodplain, the ocean.
And 13 stories. I mean,
13 stories.
that's huge.
Nice on paper, but not realistic.
Yeah,
The
okay.
only thing is, the water is coming up
Yes.
bit by bit by bit. And by the time they get ready, for everything, the waves are probably going to be washing over in that area.
Global warming.
Right.
And that's nothing new on the horizon, though, right?
I was hoping for the Gateway project on Boston and Bridge Street. There would be some progress.
Right, okay.
Still
Yeah.
dead in the water. Dead in
Yeah,
the water.
okay.
No progress there.
Okay.
So it's kind of unfortunate.
Okay.
It's a major eyesore to the city of Salem,
Yeah.
next to the Council on Aging.
Yeah, okay. Okay, very good. So that gives us an update what projects are happening. So let's talk about some of these topics here. First topic, I guess the big one is the replacement. Well, one of a couple of big ones here. 3 finalists have been chosen for Salem's vacant super. Actually, it's not vacant yet. He's here until the end of the month, right?
No, Dr. Caboni took over. Dr. Caboni.
Oh, okay. So
Assistant
we have an
he's gone
interim
to the state
superintendent. Okay. So we have an interim superintendent, and we have 3 finalists for the job. You can look it up online if you're curious. I don't want to just read off all the stats and stuff like that. I can't do it justice. But I know there's a bunch of controversy about the fact that the Salem High School principal, Glenn Burns, I guess applied for the job and was not part of the finalist, and I guess there's quite a bit of unhappiness regarding that.
He would have been an outstanding finalist in Salem, Glenn Burns. He taught at the middle school, Collins Middle School. He was an administrator.
Yeah.
When one of the superintendents resigned and went up to Haverhill, he became a Haverhill principal for a while. So he's got a lot of built-in experience in-house. Then he moved back from Haverhill at that position, and he took over the high school and turned the whole high school around. The increasing population, the climate has changed. He's been a part of the building committee, which would be for the new high school. So he's got so much experience, and he wasn't even a finalist.
But why? Why wasn't he a finalist?
I encouraged him myself to run, and I'd back him in the situation anyway, any help he needed. So the committee to select him, two members of the school committee and a community committee.
Who was from the school committee?
That I don't know. I'm not that. Jim would have known, but I'm not. I don't know which the two. It wasn't Megan. Megan was not involved.
I always say that I don't see why when you had a system and you have a assistant or principal, for example, or any vice president in any institution, why you have that position when actually you thinking that person can be moved up to the ladder, to the next level. So I don't see the meaning of hiring from the outside when you have a system where you have a vice principal, a vice president, or whatever you name a second person on the ladder. Because everybody deserves to move up. Everybody deserves to be on the position to be or the top position, because that's what you work for. I mean, you be trained as an assistant to become a principal at one point or another. So the principal for the high school right now, we're talking about right now, is trained to be a superintendent at one point or another. Why not to hire him who know the system, who know the ups and downs of the system, and he can move on and try to do a better job than bringing somebody from the outside. Yeah. I don't see the meaning of that.
Yeah, and we talked about it on this show when it came to fire chief and police chief, of hiring within as opposed to with hiring it out. And one of my points was that if you look at superintendents in Massachusetts, they're like hired guns. They come in, they're there for 3 years typically. I mean, we've had some that have stayed longer, like the current guy was quite good, but we've had people come in and they would be in here, they come in with a 5-year plan and they would leave for a new job before the 5-year plan, and then the new guy would come in with a new 5-year plan, or the new woman would come in with a new 5-year plan, and they would never get implemented, and so they weren't for blame for the fact that we were having underperforming.
It was like Logan Airport; they were flying in and out on a revolving door.
And the thing is, and that's because we're not choosing people that have ties to the community. We're bringing in outsiders, and they're saying, "Oh, here's a good job opportunity," and they're here until there's a better job opportunity.
And the 3 finalists look good on paper, really look good on paper.
Yeah.
But I think Salem's loss is not having Glenn Burns take over.
Yeah. I mean, I know that at one point when I was on the school committee, myself, Jim, and Jim Fleming, who was a former member of this panel, and a third person wanted to promote one of the assistant superintendents to come in, to be promoted.
He would have made an outstanding choice.
And we were outvoted 3-4, and the person didn't stay around long after that. And I'm hopeful that I mean, again, have never met Glenn Burns. I didn't really know his name until this topic came up. But I hope that he doesn't say, "Hey, look, pasture, let me find some greener pastures somewhere."
That's what I said to him. I said, "Please stay. We need you in the future."
Yeah. But on the other hand, I mean, he obviously has indicated that he's like to move up, and there's going to be a superintendent position opening up someplace. Why wouldn't he throw his name in the hat and take a significant pay raise? So it's really disappointing because we could lose someone it seems like has been very good for the.
He's got kids in the school system and everything. It's ideal. These 3 outsiders will come in and shake up the system and move on.
Yeah.
Well, we're noted for that. I remember the Bentley School where we had an outstanding individual that should have been made the principal, and they bypassed. And that individual, the other communities went after her lickety-split because she was outstanding. Wow. And we lost her.
Yeah.
And it happens frequently in Salem. The same as I know, Tom, I talk about the planning board, and I know you talk about the grants that we get, but that the planning board, we train a lot of young people that come into Salem, and they go on to bigger and better things in other communities.
Cambridge and else. Right. We have lost many in the planning department. Good people.
And the thing is this, again, the way you combat that, because you're not going to match the pay scale of a Cambridge or a Boston, but if the person has roots, they're less likely to go. But if they've come in and they don't have roots here, why are they going to stay? They have no loyalty to Salem. But if someone is in this area and brought up in this area, and whether they were born here or just had a lot of their career here, it was on this show. We talked about it multiple times in terms of the fire chief and police chief. And actually in superintendent, I said, it seems like we should have the same type of system that we have for the fire chief and the police chief, where we homegrown, and it seems to work out. I mean, you can't always do it, and it seems like police chief, which is the first one who's been an outsider, to my knowledge, has worked out pretty well. So it's not like it precludes someone from doing a good job here, but I think the odds are not necessarily
we've been lucky that we have, especially the former superintendent. I think that he did a great job, and eventually he moved to the next level. We was very lucky to hire him from the outside and come in here. But he coming for a similar community, and he knew Salem for a little while. The same thing with the chief of police. I think he's been a great addition to the group, but that's not the normal. I mean, we need to understand that people who invested in a community, they deserve to be taken into consideration for the upper level position, and don't pass and let that be a constant situation that will demotivate people who are here waiting online. There's a lot of people waiting online for different positions. And if you're gonna keep doing that way, people are gonna say, why I have to invest in a community that doesn't gonna really value my sacrifice, and they're gonna move on and they're gonna pass me when it comes time for them to recognize that I'm here to do the work that I need to be doing.
Yeah, my understanding is that a lot of the teachers at the high school, were really, touted this Mr. Burns, Principal Burns, for this position, and I know that when I was in the school committee, we had the teachers at the high school petitioning us to get rid of the principal. I mean, so that quite a sea change from that period of time, so yeah, it's very disappointed that they didn't make it into the final for a more in-depth looking over. So
there's no incentive to move up the ladder if you don't get in the final position.
Right. Yeah.
Our deep loss.
Okay. Anyways, okay. Teasie, did you want to follow up on something on this? Looked like you were getting ready to say something.
My whole thing is that I remember with Dennis King, when we thought he would be the next chief of police.
Oh, right. You mean the Peabody chief of police?
But he did not put in for it.
Marblehead,
never realizing, what was happening over in Marblehead. And Dennis, who was an outstanding officer, right?
Yeah.
And he knew what he was doing, and he's now, in Marblehead, and they're very, very happy with Dennis. Yeah. He also had I believe he got his law degree.
Okay.
And on top of it,
we did lose Peabody. He's the Peabody police chief. He came from Salem too.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Well, the one from moved to Peabody, remember?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But, okay. We've talked about the Salem skipper. And Teasie, you raised an issue, and it should have raised a red flag in my mind when you were talking about how well paid the drivers were. Well, in today's paper, I believe it was today's paper, and today being Wednesday, June 24th, there was a story about the fact that we're extending the Salem skipper for until the end of September, which is good, but it's saying it costs the city between $15 and $20 a ride. To me, it seems like if we had taken this money that was given to us back in 2020 and just hired cabs to do it, we would still have enough money for another 5-6 years to go. I don't understand how it can cost $15 to $20 when a regular private cab company is only paying $7 a ride, is it, locally? Something like that.
Around that.
And on top of that, the 15 to 20, it's there's still the $1 to $2 that come in. And this is theoretically is more efficient because they have multiple people in it, so it should be less costly. I mean, that's the whole idea of it. It's less costly because you're not getting portal-to-portal service. You're not getting, there's more of a delay. It's just unbelievable that this has been going on, and this money has never shown up. We've asked for this before, right?
In top of all of that you mentioned, Mike, is the fact that you're destroying a industry that is providing food for the family, and in the same token they pay taxes to make the city bigger. So when that program coming in, I question all of that. I question who is behind this program and what is the cost. Eventually, nothing was revealed at that moment because they only wanted to have that program to benefit a certain group who we don't know exactly who benefit. But at the end of the day, we as a taxpayer ending to pay that program, and that program seems to be very expensive and also put in jeopardy so many families, so many people that depend on the private taxi cab to make sure that they continue to move on. Good, fortunate enough, they survive, they're still there.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if that program continues to grow, the private sector on the taxi industry is jeopardy to lose. We jeopardy to lose that industry here in Salem.
Right.
So it is something that we need to keep in mind all the time. Right.
No, I was going to say that when I mentioned it, the idea was that the people that drive, they get more money, they get the highest salaries. They're all very, very happy with their salaries.
Right.
They don't get benefits, but they said they can well afford the benefits with the salaries they make driving.
Right. So that's the thing, and it's so they're obviously being paid well above the going rate because it's ridiculous expensive. Again, the point of this service was a low-cost alternative for, in effect, for low-income people who weren't pressured for time. They didn't need to get to the airport on a certain time. They needed to go to the doctor's office, and they could schedule well in advance, and this type of stuff. It was supposed to be, that type of thing. But it's just ended up, and again, if we could have taken that same population of people that were using this and hired cabs for them, which would have been more convenient for them and saved money.
Absolutely.
It would be a joke if it didn't cost us so much. So fortunately, the plan is ending, unless we find more money somewhere to extend it further. Hopefully it won't. And if they want to come up with some plan to make it easier for these people, then, work something out with a cab company. It would be cheaper than what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm. That's what Mayor Wu in Boston is doing this week. In fact, Mayor Wu in Boston is now saying to the taxi drivers, you can be Uber too, and Uber will be a separate company. So you can get an Uber call from a taxi or an Uber from an Uber. So equitable for the taxi workers, because they didn't get the best part of the deal in Salem. That's a great program, it's Kipper, for low income and elderly citizens and so on to go from point A to point B. But I think Boston is going to be on the front burner now, and I think Salem will do the same thing too.
Okay. Hopefully. I heard that in the news about Boston, and I think that's a great idea, and I think that Salem had to copy from that program, make sure that we implement it here in Salem.
But how does that, in other words, you've got a cab company.
Yeah.
And how would that work that they would end up like a cab driver would be working?
Actually, there is an agreement that they're going to make with the cab company that whoever call Uber and Uber is busy, the cab can supplement the come and take the customer.
And so Uber
and Uber would pay then.
I see. And so Uber would, in effect, contract with the cab
That's
company.
right, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
And in some of your cab companies, the fellows own their own. They use it almost like an Uber, but they go always like to which city or to it's an American cab or whatever. Yeah. But the other thing too is we also have when children go from something happens in a family. Let's say a child goes to a Salem school system.
Yeah.
And they take them out for a short period of time, maybe a foster home for some reason, that they still want that child to remain in their home school.
Right.
They will have a taxi pick that child up, let's say in Gloucester, bring him to school, and then pick it up in the afternoon and take it home.
Okay.
And that could charge like $50 or $60 a day or better.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. A longtime music director, Cynthia Napiakowski. Did I do okay with that? Okay. And in the system for 38 years, was leaving the district. We talked a little bit about this last time where, in fact, that although she quote unquote took a retirement, she didn't take it willingly.
No, I was on the school committee long before, like you were. We chose her back 40 years ago. Become a music
It
director.
was a little before my time on the school committee, but yeah.
Before your time, indeed. But it was one of my hallmarks that I look great pride. So I went to the retirement party last Saturday for her. 250 people turned out at the high school, a great turnout.
Yeah.
And she was in tears because she was forced to retire. Forced to retire after developing that whole music program for 38 years, jazz and marching band.
Right.
She took the students from last year down to the Lincoln Memorial. They've been to Carnegie Hall 3 times.
Yeah.
So they're internationally, nationally respected. And I think it gives a lot of kids purpose at Salem High School to go to athletic programs, music programs, art programs. And she was the music lady of Salem. I always considered the music lady. And she got the, when the cutbacks took place last June, as we was cutting back in budgets, her position was totally cut. And it was an unfair injustice. They're closing the Cowden School now and moving over to the Salt and Salt School. They're paying the teachers boxes, 3 hours pay. I never got that when I was teaching to back up my school and so on. I did it over the years, 40 years, and you could find money in the Salem school system for a position like Cindy Nibby. I told the mayor, you don't cut her. You tell the superintendent of schools, no, you don't cut her.
Okay.
She's that special.
You say Carlton School is closing?
The Cowden School is closing as we speak. It's got the 2 alternative schools. The 2 alternative schools at the Witch Mall on the mall in Salem.
Yeah.
One's a middle school, one's a high school. The Liberty Academy is there.
Yeah.
And they're going to be transferred to the Cowden School. The Cowden School kids, beautiful building, will be transferred to the Salt and Salt School.
Okay.
And the Salt and Salt School is going to be renamed Reading School. And it'll be almost a 2-school system. The regular Salt and Salt kids that would go from that area and the Cowden School. They're going to pack up this summer, all the teachers at the Cowden School.
I mean, that was just built 20 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, I was on the school committee
but the
when they
Cowden
opened
School,
it.
no, that was the Scurry Street School before. But that was, it's now going to be, is it the Liberty School that's going to go there?
Exactly. Liberty School, the Witch Museum in Salem, is going to move out of that. We pay a lot of rent for that, those two schools at a private facility like that across the street from the PBS Museum where I work. So they're being transferred.
So, okay, so the alternative high school. And
alternative, yes.
Right, the alternative high school, and there's an alternative, what is the other
Middle
one?
school. Middle school.
Alternative middle school, and they're going to be moving into the Carlton building.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're paying the teachers extra pay, God bless, and boxes and stuff like that.
Well, work
they can find the money for
work the
Cindy
job,
Napier.
Yeah, it is sort of disappointing. It just seems like,
You don't
priorities
do people.
priorities get messed up. So
Marvin
often,
Gaye sang a song one time back in the 1971. Marvin Gaye, a very Detroit sound, Motown sound. What's going on here in Salem? What's going on? When you lose the best and brightest like Cindy Nabokowski, something's wrong. The superintendent should have been said no by the school committee and the mayor. And the mayor didn't dare say no to the superintendent when he was cutting. He cut her.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you mean the mayor didn't dare say no?
The mayor did not say no, absolutely.
He chairs the school committee, doesn't he?
He should have said no. I
He
told
should
him
have said no to what
did not
Tom
say
is
no.
saying. He should have said, because the budget is presented by the superintendent to the school committee, and at that point in time, the school committee votes to accept the budget. When Jim and I were on there, Jim Fleming and I, as I mentioned earlier, were both on the school committee back 20 plus years ago. We would go through the budget during the budget process, and we would pretty much go line by line. And we would say, we challenge this, we challenge that. Do we need this for that? Let's vote a little this. Do we need this thing? Does this need to be lower? Some things we thought they need to be higher, because it was a very efficient thing. And that's what we did with the budget. So the school committee does this. So the superintendent doesn't make this unless the school committee signs off on it. At least four members had to vote yes on that particular thing if someone challenged it. So it came up and it was not challenged or whatever. So it makes me wonder.
We elect the mayor and we elect the school committee. And that was their duty to stand up for Salem people. A great person, Cindy Nabokowski. Yeah. And she was
especially when you dedicated all your life for the benefits of the education system, and when it comes the time for they to at least recognize that and do what they need to do, they turn the face to the other side. And I think that's not a good example that we set up for the people at all.
The mayor has 2 daughters in the school system who are in the music program. So it makes no sense.
And the thing is this, you know, every business, government, whatever, employer is always saying, we want loyalty from our employees. Well, it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. And sometimes, you know, you have to, again, we're not funding, you know, 50 people here. We're funding one person. And, you know, I just think, as you say, they should have found the money for this. I remember when I first got elected to the school committee, there was a police captain that I bumped into at a chamber function. He was doing the detail, the police detail. And he said to me, oh, congratulations getting elected to the school committee. He said, now, because I was always talking, my thing was always about the budget. He said, let me tell you, he said, a good administrator, there was a $40 million budget at that time. In a $40 million budget, they can hide $2 million. A good administrator can do it. And then he said, next line was, and so-and-so, who was the current superintendent at that time, he's a good administrator. In other words, he was telling me there was hidden money in the budget.
Yes, there is.
You know, 5%, you know, hidden money in the budget. And
you can find it.
Yeah. And, you know, again, I just think that that's really disappointing when things like that happen. Disappointing again when we don't take a further look at a loyal, you know, well-respected, you know, principal who wants to move up.
Same way.
Yeah, same thing.
But Cindy was not only for the band, and she was also for, how many other things did she do with the school, with the music?
She did the Rotary, at the Hotel Hawthorne, the Council on Aging, where you are very active in. She did all the schools. She was our best musical ambassador for 38 years.
And again, I mean, one thing, I mean, our music program is well thought of.
Indeed.
She's the main reason.
And of course, she's the main reason. I just, you know, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But what we were talking about, Tom, she has a room in her house that's loaded with what?
Trophies and awards from all her 38 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
State championships, national, going to the Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York. She's gone everywhere with the band. And what a lifetime experience for them to be in the band.
Yeah.
Plus the trophies that are on display at the high school.
At the high school.
Besides the individual ones that were given right to her.
Okay.
There's nobody that I can think of to compare with her in the surrounding communities.
She did the play,
Yeah.
Miss Saigon one time. Miss Saigon, very difficult war about the Vietnam War, Miss Saigon.
Yeah.
And she said to herself, now, the kids don't know what happened in Vietnam.
Right.
Some of the parents don't know what happened.
Right,
so she invited Paul LaRue, the director of Building and Grounds, who was a Vietnam veteran himself.
Yeah.
And Cindy had Paul LaRue, a former Vietnam veteran, humble man, modest man, talk to the parents, talk to the students, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful performance, and those kids learned so much from her, Miss Saigon, and so many other plays and performances. Yeah. She put her whole heart and love into it.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it's very disappointing that they didn't.
Well, I just want to know one thing. I thought maybe I missed it. That didn't the students try to do something, protest when they wanted to get rid of her? I mean, it's new. This just happened recently.
When she announced last June her forced retirement, last June at this time, there wasn't a dry eye in the band. They were all crying, saying, how can we help? And they tried. They came to the school committee and presented very forcefully, emotionally. They cried in front of the school committee, the mayor, saying, please don't cut her. They were that caring about her. Yep. They loved her. They loved her. Okay. As I love her.
Yeah.
You know, I look at some of the things that they do here in the city of Salem. I mean, I saw them do it to a teacher that is now retired. And, you know, Carol Carr, who had one of the best curriculums set up for seniors when they were leaving and going on to college. And they cut her program. They just cut her program.
One of my sons had it. She was a dynamite teacher. Dynamite. Yep. Dynamite.
Yeah, but she spoke out.
Yes, he did. He still speaks out.
Still speaks out, right.
Yep.
Yeah. But they can only fire her once. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Carol Carr, her husband, attorney John Carr, is filing a suit against the city of Salem regarding the the override vote that was taken based on, and I don't know all the details, based on the fact that there was changes in the in the original ballot question and how they presented it and all these type of things. And so we'll see what happens there. I mean, I know that you have a vote of 72% to 28% statewide to audit, open the books on the state legislature. And they've been fighting that for 5 years now. And the Attorney General is just sort of like doing nothing. And then we had a ballot question that passed muster and that got all the votes and everything, having to do with lowering the tax rate, which is not what the governor would like to do and most of the legislature wants to do. And what happens? The Attorney General made some error. Made some error, and because of it, the ballot question is invalid.
Same thing.
So it's going to be off the ballot.
Rent control was off the ballot too. Rent control.
Yeah, but that is a different reason. That was I forget the reason for that, but that was also off it.
That would have made a very interesting ballot in November.
Right. Yeah. But anyways, I mean, that's something to watch as we're going forward here. And again, we will talk about limited because we're not going to have a lot of information behind the scenes, but we'll see. And good luck to them, because it was, to my point of view, the way they presented it was not above board. And I know you were in favor of the yes vote, and but they need to go by the book, and it doesn't look like they went by the book.
One word in the writing could make a referendum ballot up. When I did the 4-year mayor on the ballot, the 4-year mayor got the signatures on the ballot and got on the ballot, and I went to the city clerk and I said, how it's going to be written up. And there was 2 words that were very critical. One word was, should the term of the mayor be 4 years? Should.
Yeah.
That means very vague.
Right.
She went to the State Department, Attorney General's office, and she says, can I say shall the mayor of Salem be 4-year term? One word.
Right.
One word. And people were mad at me for saying, Tom, you should not have told me to sign that I didn't know what I was signing. So same thing in the 4-year mayor. There was a lot of controversy on the word shall and may.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference legally.
Right. Yeah. Okay. City of Salem, along with pretty much all the cities and towns in Massachusetts, are going to get some pothole money from the state. The state has allocated that. I mean, still our money. It's just coming out of a different pocket, but it's good. I mean, and we need it because there's even though we're well past winter time, there's still some widowmakers out there.
I know we have a very strong delegation, state delegation, under the name of Lovely and Manny, who are actually the state rep. And also we had the Lieutenant Kim Driscoll up there. So we hopefully want to see a good amount increase, because I think every year everything costs more, and we need a lot of repair in Salem for the goodness of the drivers. We have so many visitors here, so we need to make sure that not only we provide good road for the visitors, but also for the local. And I think sometimes we forget about that. We forget that so many cars coming into Salem destroy our street. So I hope that they keep that in mind and they increase the amount of money that they request and fight for the amount that we deserve here in Salem, because we serve in the entire region in the Halloween season. So we need to have some good chunk of money so we can fix all of the road in Salem.
Is that Chapter 90? Is that what it is, Mike?
Actually, I don't think it's Chapter 90, but it could be.
It's something,
It's Chapter in the B&S tax. The B&S tax is supposed to bring some money back to bridges and road repair and things like that.
Yeah.
Because the Salem is a mess, but they're not the only community.
Right. Yeah.
Peabody going through Peabody. I know a few people who are putting in suits against cities. One's in Peabody, and the other one, I don't know whether it's Salem or Peabody they went to.
Yeah.
They're suing because they said, hey, you know what? They did something to the axle and they said they went immediately to the garage. They said that they knew they did something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's been some. I'm driving like this, and and that works a bit during the day, but at nighttime I can't avoid them because they blend into the road. But
I laugh you saying that, because when they went, one person went and talked to somebody that was on the school committee. I mean, on the council, right?
Yeah. And
they said, well, you should be in charge of your car at all times, and if it's bad on this side, you should get over to the other side.
Yeah.
He said, go on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad on the other side too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but anyways, it is something. Things cost money, and people understand that. But what people get upset about is they get upset when they see waste, and they just say, "Wait a second, why is it why is it the city of Salem budget, which 25 years ago was the same as Beverly's budget, now 30% higher,
right.
And we have much less roads. We're smaller physically, which means less plowing. Why is our budget like 30% higher now?" So that's one of the things that the people of Salem are saying, is they don't understand why. Again, it's not like Beverly has better weather than us. In effect, I mean, so that's what people get upset about. They get upset when they feel the money is not being spent wisely. One of the things that I've hopped on for a bunch of times is the Fortin Park. I mean, here is a park that costs $2 million to do that. It's a postage stamp of a park. There's they have events on it, but those events could have been done at the Common. It didn't. I don't think it really added something. And at the time, someone was talking about building apartments there, and there was a cost factor because again, they're building on reclaimed land. But there's the parking garage is there. There's other buildings there. They're going to build the 5-story building on the corner on that same thing, so it was doable. So maybe type of thing where they may have needed a TIF like they did for the bricks building. TIF meaning tax increment financing, where they gradually increment taxes up in a commercial building or in the.
When Domingo and I were on city council, that was a big fight about the Fortin Park.
Yeah.
With CPA funds and other funds were all being pumped in, so that was a big fight.
Oh yeah, I remember, and I also I think I comment in one of the meetings that the timing on that park was not the right one, because I believe that was close to the Kobe season, so we have to kind of be very careful on how we spend the money. And I mentioned that having that park and we're talking about the park next to here.
Yeah.
Creating that park, which I think, and I thought at that moment that the use of that park was not be so heavy because we have other parks and we could do events in the park. So we need to spend the money wisely, and I think that was not the time for create that park that is underutilized. And some people did not agree with me, and some people.
I mean, what it did is, it allowed a couple of businesses in this building, because this building abuts it. I mean, that was just a blank, brick wall, next to that, because there used to be a gas station there. It was Dave and Jack's for many years, and so now there's a couple of businesses that are viable because of that park, but that's never going to pay back enough tax revenue by having that extra tax revenue to make up for that park. Yep. And I just don't. I mean, they have in speaking engagements there and presentations there, but to me it's like, well, we better use this park so we can justify the fact we spent money in the park, because they could just as easily have done it at the Common or some other park.
There was a homeless encampment behind it.
Right, yeah.
We had to get rid of that homeless encampment to make that viable for family functions all year round. So
right, yeah.
That was very controversial.
It was.
Well, who was the one that talked about the bloated budget?
You mean the letter to the editor? Or you're talking about me?
Well, we mentioned it here. Someone talked about the bloated budget. There was a letter, yeah.
I believe it was John Carr. who wrote a letter to the editor talking about our budget compared to Beverly and stuff like that. But I had done research on it. I mean, again, I haven't done the research recently, but like 3 elections ago, maybe 4 municipal elections ago, I spent a lot of time researching Beverly, Peabody, and Lynn.
Yes.
And Beverly because it's a similar sized city to Salem. Peabody because it's our neighbor, and then Lynn because the school demographics. Because we talk about our school having a challenging population, and my argument was, our school population was no more challenging than Lynn, and probably less challenging than Lynn. So that's why I included Lynn in there. And again, we, since like 2004 or whatever, our budget just exploded, and we have way more $100,000 dollar employees in the city of Salem than they do in these neighboring communities. Again, that information is a bit dated, but this letter to the editor sort of revamped that.
Now Beverly is what, twice the size of Salem?
Well, I'm sorry, what's that?
How big is Beverly over Salem? Acreage?
I think it's like 1.5 times square miles wise.
Are they 16, 17?
I thought they were like, we're like 9 and they're like 14.
We're 8.1.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's less than, I thought they were 1.5 times the size.
1.5.
But again, I can't really remember for sure.
Yeah.
And Beverly's a 4-year mayor with aldermen, a different type of budget system. Our budget system is not comparable to Beverly's.
Right, but the thing is this, the spending is, we still have trash pickup, we still have streets to plow, potholes to repair, children to educate, and all these other things. I mean, even though we're calling a different form of government and where they have a different spending hierarchy, it's still, we're spending money on the same stuff.
Beverly just went up recently this week, $300 for a trash fee.
They have a citywide trash fee.
So they have a different budget process than we do.
Yeah. Okay. There's still way more. The total, and again, I don't have current numbers, but the total spending per capita in Beverly is much less than spending per capita. Government spending per capita in Beverly is less than budget spending per capita for the city.
They have a fairly brand new high school, fairly brand new middle school. Yeah. Their school system's second to none now. They come a long way. So
basically this section of high school, all our school buildings are new.
Yes.
And we even closed down, we're talking about closing down the Carlton, that's less than 20 years old.
20 years old.
Yeah, so that's because we don't have the school population. We just closed down Horace Mann, although we renamed it to keep ourselves from going into receivership. We got rid of Nathaniel Bowditch School, which was less than 20 years old, or about 20 years old, and moved the Horace Mann School, which really did need a different facility, moved it into that building so that we could stave off going into receivership because our schools were so underperforming.
Salem's retrofitting the Horace Mann School into a nursing school as we speak, nursing school, the old Horace Mann School on Long Avenue.
Right, okay. Anyways, we're only a few minutes left. I got one more topic I want to get into, and Teasie and I can duke it out over this one. Pioneer Village is going to be moving to Camp Numkeg after this season, and Teasie, you've spoken against it, and I've spoken in favor of it.
Yes, positively, absolutely. In other words, if they really wanted to put Pioneer Village on the trolley list to take people from Main Street downtown to Pioneer, then they wouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, a lot of people don't realize that Numkeg, has a history, and it goes back to the Indians, and Numkeg was a tribe of Indians, if I remember correctly here.
Yeah.
And now Numkeg is going to just drift out to sea, and you're never going to see it again. It's not going to come over. People thought it was going to move up to Forest River, where Pioneer Village is right now. And
but what are they? I mean, Camp Numkeg is
gonna be
basically a
gone.
few buildings. I mean, it's basically a few buildings that people rent for events. I mean, it's not like there's an active thing for it like there is Pioneer Village. And again, my argument has been that that Pioneer Village is not utilized as much as it is because of its locale and location, and that if it was in closer to the downtown, where it would be more convenient on the trolley stop, and down near the Willows, that it would actually be much more visited and be much more viable. That's been my argument.
What, Pioneer Village?
If Pioneer Village was closer to the downtown, because for the private trolley company to make that trek down there, I just don't see it as being cost effective for them, because they make their money, they make a route, and being in the traffic on Lafayette Street during October, it just really makes their route. It would make it unprofitable.
I still want to know. We spent $13 million, and that included putting in a brand new pool over at Forest River.
Yeah.
That brand new pool was then turned over to the Salem Y. The Salem Y also has its Y camp.
Yeah.
And, the Y camp is not an inexpensive camp to go to.
Okay.
And I look at it and say, people, Salemites, after spending part of their tax money, if they want to go to the Pioneer, over to the pool, they have to get a pass. And it costs them $40 for the pass to go to there. And they have to show the pass. And they can't go until after a certain time. And they have to be out of there by a certain time.
Huh.
I think they have 4 or 5 hours, maybe, that they can use the pool.
And that's because it's being overseen by the Salem Y?
The what?
And that's because it's being overseen by the Salem YMCA?
Salem Y. Salem Y is in
So we
charge.
basically transferred government property to this private charity.
That's right.
Okay. Well,
They have the instructors that teach swimming, which is
And
very critical.
it is private.
well, yeah,
I don't care
I'm
what
not
anyone
saying that's
says.
not unimportant, but again, we could have hired instructors for swimming as well.
Yes.
And done that, or we could have hired the Y to do that for us. It just seems like although that to me is a different argument than the moving Pioneer Village.
They did talk, Mike, over the fact that that they have. I'm sure that the Salem Y. I think they probably hire the lifeguards. Well, they should, definitely, because it's their people who are there most of the time.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But there was a time where that was a Salem thing that was one of our jewels, so to speak.
Yeah.
You remember it, Tom?
My son worked there, one of my sons. Yeah,
right.
it was Jewel,
Definitely,
it was Jewel.
I remember when I was a playground instructor, when I was a lifeguard. Right.
I don't mind that if there's a yearly pass for $40 and kids $20, and there's some means testing so that those people who cannot afford it can have it waived or minimized or something like that. I don't have an issue with that, but I do have an issue that a private NGO, non-government organization, is determining what times the residents of Salem can use it. It just seems.